Cassette tapes at the center of a years-long South Bend court battle, containing recordings of conversations between South Bend police officers saying, well, we don't know, but it's alleged they include racist comments. Concern and conjecture running rampant throughout the city. Since 2012, the South Bend Common Council's call to release the tapes caught up in court.
People were saying, we need to know what's on the tapes. We need to know what's on the tapes.
People really wanted to get into the thick of it because you said racism and you said police.
The line was being recorded without consent of anybody who was a party to the conversation.
Let's rewind. It was March 2012 when then South Bend Common Council Vice President Dr. Oliver Davis got a phone call.
He said that the chief has been fired. And I said, I'm not aware of that. And he says, yes, the chief has been fired.
South Bend Police Chief Daryl Boykins, the city's first black police chief.
So I called Mayor Buttigieg and I said, I'm getting word that the chief has been fired. And he said, well, I guess the cat's out the bag. That was his exact words.
Did he give you a reason why he was firing Chief Boykins?
He never gave me a reason personally.
Buttigieg claimed he lost trust in the chief. More on that later. But it was discovered the central issue was the existence of cassette tapes, copies made of phone line 6031 at the South Bend police station.
It became talk at the barbershops and in churches and in places what's on these tapes. Because you have to consider in 2012, there was a lot of challenges between police and local communities all over the country.
More than 20% of South Bend's population is black, according to censusreporter.org. And Oliver says at the time, with the Trayvon Martin killing fresh on everyone's minds, he felt suspicious of the entire situation.
Since there was such an uproar about the chief being fired, since he was the first African-American chief, and it was even more than that, he was just a good chief.
There's tapes with some racist discussion language on it that high-ranking police officials were having. They were caught on tape. And so it's more than tapes now, it's conversation now about racial divisiveness within our judicial legal system.
Henry Davis Jr. was also on the South Bend Common Council at the time and tells me the truth was as unclear then as it is now.
Now it's more of a rumor mill, a gossiping situation rather than something that's clear and factual, right?
March of 2012, Boykins was out, forced to resign as chief of police.
Why did you give his resignation? His words to me said, I didn't think anybody was going to fight for me. And I turned to him and I looked at him and I said, you didn't give us a chance. And I saw tears coming down his eyes. I had never seen that before.
ABC 57 reported back then that Boykins tried to rescind his resignation and was instead demoted to captain at the South Bend Police Department. As an elected leader of South Bend's local government, Oliver Davis pleaded for the release of the tapes.
I was the first one to ask for the tapes to be subpoenaed on ABC 57.
That subpoena kicking off the legal battle still unfolding today.
The legal fees are mounting up. The people deserve to hear what's going on because they pay for it.
At least $2 million taxpayer dollars have already been spent on the ongoing litigation. At the same time, Henry Davis Jr. trying another avenue for answers, telling me the political climate in South Bend was turbulent.
So it's really active, right? The atmosphere is violent. I can say it's quite violent. And so you don't know what to say or what to do. So you are trying to find your footing in this kind of conversation. What I did, because it was just so loud, I wrote a letter to the Department of Justice from my Common Council office. I asked for a third-party investigation because there was so much unclarity, again, so many people choosing seats, corners of the room, and all I wanted was some clarity.
The Department of Justice declining to do what he asked and investigate the matter.
Then Commander Tim Corbett and those who raised their hands and said that, hey, we're on the tapes and we're going to sue the city because you guys are wiretapping and that is not what you're supposed to be doing. So I was sued in open court for writing a letter from my district office to the Department of Justice. Insane. I win the lawsuit. But it took several years to get there, right? A lot of pain in between, right? So this is the story.
Eventually, Davis Jr. won in the defamation case filed against him in 2019. Back to the Common Council subpoena. Let's rewind some more to uncover how the tapes got made in the first place.
I felt I was a scapegoat.
That's Karen DePape, then communications director for SBPD. She would end up fired for her role in the scandal. A new trial brief filed this month says it all started in 2005 when the officer with line 6031 asks for it to be recorded to monitor any threatening phone calls targeted at officers. That officer eventually gets promoted and moves offices. Apparently forgotten about, line 6031 is still recording. Fast forward to 2010. Officer Brian Young is promoted and takes the office with line 6031, supposedly unaware his line is recording. In late 2010 through early 2011, DePape troubleshoots issues of the department's phone recording system. That's when she recognizes Captain Young's voice on line 6031. In her wrongful termination lawsuit, she says she heard high-ranking officers, quote, describing conduct that DePape felt was possibly illegal or at least unethical. She also claims she heard racial slurs. Here she is again in a 2012 interview with ABC 57.
I knew that I would be persecuted if I even brought this forth. And so I struggled with it. You know, do I keep my mouth shut and just let it go? And I just felt that many individuals would be affected if I didn't.
DePape reported what she heard to Chief Boykins, who then directed her to make copies of some of those conversations. But Mayor Pete Buttigieg fires DePape the same time he demotes Boykins. The city ultimately settles DePape's lawsuit, paying her $235,000 taxpayer dollars. After the Common Council approves a subpoena of the tapes, several white police officers file into the case to block that subpoena, known as the interveners, represented by attorney Dan Pfeiffer.
So even though Indiana is a one consent state, nobody consented to the recording of this line.
They have a different version of events. They allege in their initial lawsuit, Boykins instructed DePape to tap the line of Division Chief Steve Richmond in early 2010. DePape disputes that claim in her lawsuit, saying Boykins never made changes to the recording system. Now, in their latest trial brief, the interveners just accuse Boykins of deliberately allowing the phone tap to continue after DePape's discovery of Young on line 6031. Pfeiffer's trial brief states, quote, they actively allowed the non-consensual recordings to continue and monitored them for their own personal motives, end quote. The interveners allege Boykins then confronted Richmond, calling him a backstabber and disloyal. That's how they claim they first learned line 6031 was being recorded and copied without their consent. The interveners complained to the U.S. Attorney's Office in late January 2012, saying they're victims of illegal wiretaps.
The South Bend Police Department was recording a personal line assigned to an officer that the officer did not know the line was being recorded.
It's reported a discreet FBI investigation took place as a result, leading to a May 31st, 2012 letter from U.S. Attorney David Kapp, finding no reason to pursue charges on Chief Boykins or Communications Director DePape. Many read that and believe it exonerates Boykins and DePape of any wrongdoing. Others had a different read.
The failure to prosecute is an issue that is completely unrelated to what this case is about.
Then Mayor Buttigieg had his take. He doubled down on his decision to fire DePape and demote Boykins. During his presidential campaign, in a 2019 CNN town hall, Buttigieg was asked about the South Bend police tapes scandal.
What are on the secret tapes regarding the demotions of South Bend's Black Police Chief Daryl Boykins?
So the answer is I don't know. And the reason I don't know is that these tape recordings were made in a way that may have violated the Federal Wiretap Act. That's a federal law that controls when you can and can't record people.
He was really putting him down. That was my frustration.
Former Chief Boykins suing the city, Mayor Buttigieg, and his chief of staff in 2013 for defamation and racially discriminatory conduct. The city paying Boykins $75,000 taxpayer dollars. But at the same time, the city also pays $500,000 taxpayer dollars to the interveners in a settlement of their lawsuit.
We didn't make that decision. That came from the administrative decision and the legal team to pay the police and to do that. And when they were getting paid, people were like, why are these police officers getting paid?
Between DePape, Boykins, and the interveners, the city paid up more than $800,000 settlement dollars. Fast forward to March 2018. Another 3 interveners were granted to join the case, further delaying a legal resolution.
No monetary damages are being sought, just a judicial determination.
Meanwhile, the mystery of what is on the tapes continues to frustrate and fascinate.
I have no clue why the Common Council continues to persist in this action.
One thing I can share with you that
Henry Davis Jr. recounts an interaction he says he had with Daryl Boykins years ago.
And so I asked him straight up, what is this about? What's on those tapes? He told me, he looked me right in my face, and he told me, Henry, if these tapes are ever played, or when they get played, there will be people getting out of prison, and there will be people going to prison. That's what he told me straight up. What I'm getting, obviously, is speculation, rumor, some of it's factual and true.
Remember, the content of the cassettes is not what's on trial, but rather how the cassettes were created.
You're saying that those aren't the questions to be asking. The question is, were the tapes even obtained legally?
That is the question. The substance of what is on the tapes is never been an issue, because what is on the tapes begs the question, if the tapes were obtained, if the recording of the line was in violation of the law, then nothing that is on the line can be disseminated.
The court battle continued, trials scheduled and canceled over the years.
I didn't have much gray then. Now I'm gray.
Nearly 14 years after the South Bend police tape scandal, the matter is once again set to go to trial.
You said that you feel confident that it will go to trial next month.
I pray to God that it does, because this community needs some resolution and needs some healing as well.
I'm looking forward to some type of resolve now. Many of the players are gone, moved, past, are gray-haired now.
With no closure, Daryl Boykins died in September 2024, a distressing development for Oliver Davis and Henry Davis Jr.
No, he didn't receive justice. He was treated unfairly. And unfortunately, he was captured in a very, very bad light, and he did not deserve that. He didn't.
I never called him anything else but Chief.
All those following the case, waiting on bated breath for an answer to the central questions of this case. What are on those recorded phone calls? Were the recordings obtained legally? And can they be released to the public?
And if you are to win the case, then the idea is these tapes are never publicly released to protect those officers, correct?
Tapes and any recording of the line.
Okay.
Both.
Before 2026 rolls around, it's possible South Bend could get answers.
Closure, I think, is still needed for the community.